we really shouldn't. I don't even know why you brought it up, right? Like, there's no reason at all for us to be talking about my ankles right now.
Today on Erik and Matt Like Ads.
Can we move on now? Is that
Yes.
cool with you?
Yeah, I cool, man. I brought up a color.
Thanks.
You brought up your ankles and socks.
You have no idea how much I prepare for these episodes. You really have no idea how much I prepare.
Okay.
No, really,
So what
you don't know how much I prepare for these.
I have an inkling, but yeah, I guess you're right. Like, I don't. This is really great content, though.
Don't need to come at me, Matt Zelasko, the third most Googled Zelasko. All right. I don't need you on your throne in your ivory tower telling me about how I prepare. All right. I don't need that. Okay.
Fair enough. I was just saying that I don't know what I was saying. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, you totally were.
Okay. So are we ready to do what millions have done before and watch this ad?
I'm ready.
All right.
2 tickets, $28. 2 hot dogs, 2 popcorns, and 2 sodas, $18. 1 autographed baseball, $45. Real conversation with 11-year-old son, priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's Mastercard. Accepted all over, even Major League ballparks.
Let's go for the highlights. Starring an 11-year-old Tom Brady, right? How about, so this is 1997, right? 1997.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what Major League Baseball game they actually went to. How could both of these jerks get in for $28?
Yeah.
All right, seriously? Seriously, I don't think you can go to a Bison's game for $28.
In 2021,
you probably could do that. You probably could do that.
You can. Yeah, you can go to a Bison's
but
game.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying, right? Like, what? Isn't it like, it's like $300 a ticket to see like a game now, right?
No. So baseball, because of the lengthy schedule, tickets can be, depending on the town, the team, and also who that team is playing, right? It can be very affordable.
So like these jokers are they're in Cincinnati.
Correct.
I see.
And Cincinnati is playing like the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Okay.
So
okay. It's 97. So like, is Bobby Bonilla? Is he playing?
Back then, yeah.
Yeah. So so they're at a game in what's his face? Deion Sanders? Was he playing for Cincy then? He played for Cincy, didn't he?
I actually don't know.
Pete Rose. Did he play for Cincinnati? Pete Rose played for Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Correct. So $28 definitely. Maybe the concessions are a little bit underpriced.
We got 2 pops, 2 hot dogs, 2 popcorns
for $18.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe in 97 that was realistic.
You figured it had to have been. It had to have been, otherwise people have been calling like bullshit on it, right?
Right.
Had to have
been. And it would have ruined the ad to some degree because people would have been focused on the untruthfulness, right? So that was a weird noise. Sorry.
You might want to get some WD-40 on that door hinge.
So like, I mean, 3 weeks ago I was at a Blue Jays game and I paid $18 for 1 beer. Like, I'm not exaggerating.
And seriously, okay, so there you go. Is that realistic? Like, that father's getting himself a soda too. I mean, this guy, he's like dad of the year. You kidding me? Right?
He is.
This guy's father of the year. He's not drinking a beer. I
Hey
don't
man,
buy
you
it.
know,
I don't
not
buy
everybody,
it.
not everybody likes beer. So
That's true. It's true.
yeah. So
I
what
want to
do you-
know whose autograph is on the baseball. 45
That's a good
bucks.
question.
All right. Whose autograph is on that baseball? It's Cincinnati. Could it be Pete Rose? I feel like you're still not getting a $45 Pete Rose autograph ball in 97, right? That's not happening, is it?
I don't know.
Maybe
Maybe.
being who he is, banned from baseball, all that jazz.
You know, it did strike me that, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I've ever been at a baseball game where you could buy an autographed baseball at all.
Well, I guess in Cincinnati you can.
Do they just have them like in like the team shop, like readily available? Maybe
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe Pittsburgh brought them with them.
You know what? I do know that like at one point at the Sabres store in the arena, you could buy autographed game used sticks. So maybe there is.
It's possible.
I have never been in a major league ballpark store, like team store. I've been in obviously the Bison's team store, but it's like the size of my office, and they've got like a dozen hats and like a sweatshirt.
Yeah. I've never been to a major league game.
Really?
I've never been to a major league ballpark.
I've only been to
near them.
I've only been to a couple of games in Cleveland. So who are now
yes, right.
Since apparently
this could also happen in Cleveland.
Yeah, since apparently this is a baseball podcast now, who are the Cleveland team is now the Cleveland Guardians. So
is that for real?
Yes.
When did that happen?
Just recently. In fact, I believe they are still playing as the Indians until the end of the season, and then it is going to switch. I'm not totally positive on the specifics. So I grew up an Indians fan because that happened to be the minor league or the minor league.
Yeah. Farm team.
It happened.
We were the farm team, right?
So that actually wasn't it. I was in. That was the team that I was on in Little League, and then it happened to be the Bison's farm team at that time. So like there was like a double connection. So it was just like, yeah, all right. Also, it definitely didn't help that the Indians were fairly good in the mid 90s. So it was like also fun to watch when I could watch. You know, so there was that. It's kind of funny that now I don't really have like a connection because they are no longer the Bisons are no longer the farm team, and like the team name is now different. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm like a man without a team now. I don't know.
How does that make you feel?
How terrible for me. Oh no. What am I gonna do?
That sounds hard.
Of all the injustices in the world, this is the worst.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
So
So
they changed their name.
So let's get back to the ad. I think this is not only a lovely ad, a lovely idea, and a fantastic campaign. So I'm just gonna put it right out there right now.
Okay.
I think it's one of those ones that you almost don't get tired of because it like the idea itself allowed it to change so slightly, but for like different, like you almost looked for it, right? Like, oh, what are they going to say this time? You know, I mean, I remember watching all of these.
You did anticipate them. I would agree with that. Yes.
So I think that was, I don't know that, I mean, I don't know that that was necessarily the idea originally, but I like that they did change it up a bunch. But sticking with the actual like kernel, the idea, right? So like, I think that was lovely. I also love how long they've stuck with it. Are they still using it in some places? I don't know. I think it's been a while that they've since they've retired.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they could still use it, and it's definitely one of those ones that's like you could bring this back in maybe 10 or 15 years, and it'll be like almost nostalgic. So there's that. Produced, if I'm not mistaken, by McCann Erickson. fairly well-known ad agency. Now, so in my research, I want to read a quote. I'm sure you saw the same thing, so I'm sorry if I'm like stealing some of your thunder here. But this, I was like, oh, I gotta like remember to like talk about this, and I was like, you know what, I just got to read it. The key insight came from the planning department because they did a lot of research. We, being the creatives, thought that they would say, or they would all say, ugh, credit cards, the devil's tool. But people said, nah, credit cards are fine. It's other people who abuse credit cards. When they bought things, they couldn't, when they bought things they couldn't afford, it was usually for the good of the family. They bought a TV so everyone in the family could watch TV together. They had noble reasons for buying things they couldn't afford. And that was a really interesting insight. And they came up with a line after they did this thorough investigation that Mastercard was a good way to pay for the things that really mattered. So I love how
this is just like some of the best spin I've ever heard in my life.
Sure, of course.
What they mean to say more accurately is to pay for the things that you cannot afford.
Right. And that's, but that there could be a noble reason, right? And I like that because it turns it in, turns this thing that maybe has a negative perception because, it's 97. Most adults probably had credit cards by now, but it still wasn't as, I think, ubiquitous as it is now. And it's not that it's like you can't afford it. It's like you can't afford it right now, maybe, and like that's how people were justifying it already. Like that's how people were justifying it. So like let's
just go ahead and just like help rationalize some really like detrimental behavior. Yeah, I think it's wishful thinking. I see your point. I see their point, and I see why you're latching onto it. I philosophically disagree with it, right? Just on a fundamental level. I think that there is a judicious use of credit, and it does not involve buying things that you cannot afford, regardless of the reasons for doing it. You're not financing someone's kidney replacement. All right. This is not, you want to talk about noble, right? Like, okay, so I can support the idea of someone wanting to like bring the facts. One of the things they mentioned is like bringing the family together by watching TV together by, it's like, okay, yeah, but really, like, how about you like bring the family together by doing like family game night? All right. Like,
Sure. But that's not, first of all, it's just not the society that we live in, first of all. So I think it's a little bit unrealistic to think that like, that it's a problem to
look, credit cards make their money on people that don't pay down their credit cards. All right. That is the whole premise. That is what they want. All right. They structure it that way. So we're probably not going to agree on this part of it. And I can totally see why the agency representing Mastercard is going to take that approach and play into that. All right. But it's like telling an addict that it's okay to be an addict. Just go ahead and keep doing that behavior. All right. That's what the addict wants to hear. That's what the addiction wants to hear. It doesn't make it the right thing to do.
But is this, so are we here to discuss like the merits of credit, or are we trying to discuss the effectiveness of an ad campaign? Like I understand where you're coming from.
What I'm saying is the sentimentality of the premise of the people creating it, to me is off. All right.
Okay.
It does not mean that the execution was not sophisticated, that it was not effective, that it was not, because here's the thing, because you can take that MasterCard and you can pay for that experience with your child at the ball game, and you can just go ahead, you just pay that off as soon as the invoice or as soon as the statement comes in, right? And right now, what do people do? I know I do this. I get my cash back. I never pay a finance charge. All right. I use it as a convenience, as a safety mechanism, because it's not tied directly to my bank account. And I can actually make money, not an enormous amount of money, but I can make money doing it. All right.
Yeah.
So I think there is a way to use it. And the ad does not get into this stuff. I'm simply speaking to what you shared about what they learned and how they took that. And I think you can spin it to make yourself feel good about that data that they collected. That's really more what I'm taking issue with, not so much the ad itself, or that's fine. Like at the end of the day, they are merely, and yeah, so yes, it's a powerful association, but no ad makes anyone do anything. All right.
Correct.
Ads cannot do that. All right. Humans have to make choices to do or to not do something. So at the end of the day, it is not on Mastercard. It is not on that advertising agency. It is on the consumer, the individual, to how they respond to that, and then what they do with the responsibility then given to them.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so I agree with that. Let's take a beat here. What was the total goods? It was how many 18 for the food, 45 for the ball,
28 for the tickets. And of course, you can't put a price on the conversation that they had.
Correct.
So I don't know how you so we just set that to the side.
What does that work out to be in today's dollar? About $154 today, right? So, and like this will be the last thing that I say about this. There are people who maybe $154 right now is difficult, but splitting it up over a couple of months, paying an extra whatever it is, if you what's your rate, 10%, 8% if you've got, less if you have great credit, people who might
20%.
need that probably have a little bit higher on the 20% level. It lets you enjoy those experiences with your family and breaking it up for you, right? So like I get it that's a justification, but it's certainly one that I've used in the past, like going on vacation, like, well, you know what, I know that I'm going to pay a little bit extra because I'm putting a lot of this on a credit card, but you get cash back, you get whatever, but it's allowing me to essentially finance an experience. So cool. Well, now that I hate this ad and hate talking about it, no.
So what about the part about how they mentioned that that people immediately latched on to the concept, this cost this cost this, the list idea, followed by one thing that was priceless, right? And how it kind of went viral before things, before that was a thing. There was no social media, there was no going viral back then, right? As we know it now. And there were no things as memes, like you said, but it kind of became a meme where just the average person would make their own list, right, of items, and then priceless, and then other brands or entities or organizations, whatever, like co-opted the idea and started using it for their, so like if you're Mastercard, you gotta love that, right? Like instead of being like pissed about that, like, dang, they stole our idea, like, no, they are taking your idea and they are spreading it, because everyone, because remember, this went on TV and millions and millions of people saw it. So like you have that association, right? So now every time you see one of those, you think Mastercard. That is probably not intentional, as you said to the earlier part about the whole campaign. Did they plan to have a campaign of these? I bet they did. Did they plan for it to exactly evolve the way it did? Probably not, because it's like TV shows. They don't always know how they're going to get to the end, but they know they're going to get there and they have some idea of it, right? So, but like the viral meme-ish nature of it, like they said that they admitted they did not predict that, but how powerful was that? So like to the point of an idea. So like having said everything that I just said earlier and that we disagreed about, right? How about the fact that like millions of people just totally embraced it and thought,
Right.
this is awesome. They connected with it and then they started using it in their own life. Like that's, you got to hand it to them. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
And I think it speaks to, right, like sometimes an idea and then executing upon that idea is a bit of a leap of faith in our business. You know, it could have just totally, you know, fallen flat and nobody cared about it, right? Or something amazing happens, and can you really take credit for it? Well, yeah, because you took that leap of faith, right?
Because you followed your heart on what you thought was going to be a powerful idea, even if you didn't fully understand in which ways it would like wield its power, right? You just knew this is going to do something good. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And I love that about this. Like, and I think it's kind of a recurring theme of the things that we talk about is sometimes a great idea, you know, is just a great idea and you gotta follow through on it. And often a great idea is a fairly simple idea. Like this is you know, it's complex enough that it, you know, it definitely took some talent to write this and come up with this idea. But it's simple enough that it is digestible in that 30 seconds. You get everything about it. And even like the tagline, there are some things money can't buy, for everything else there's Mastercard. Like that is just so beautifully written. That's as close to
that's big
poetry as advertising copy
but like
gets.
but it's not like it's like so straightforward though, right? So like you think poetry, sometimes you think it's flowery, you know, that's just says it, right? And it says it again in just a handful of words. How about, I don't know if it's because it was produced in 1997 or if, and I'm feeling this way about it, or if they intended it to look this way. At least the first shot feels a little home video-ish to me.
A little bit.
Right? Almost like you're looking back on a memory of something that actually happened. I feel like the whole piece does not live up to that though, right? I feel like it's not just quite, that first shot where you're eye level with the kid and he's kind of a little shit. I felt like it had that kind of like camcorder kind of quality to it.
And there's a bit of like a sepia tone to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. Which I think is often like used to sort of convey warmth and like, I guess, nostalgia. But no, I agree with you. It doesn't necessarily follow that, but it definitely feels that because it's the little boy going through the turnstile, kind of smiling, excited. You can feel that excitement, right? Like whether it's, you know, whether you, you know, went to a baseball game with your dad or you went to a theme park or you went to, you know, whatever the movies, right? You know, whatever it is, you were excited at that moment. It doesn't quite follow.
And you do remember, like you do remember those types of. So I'm trying to think, like, what were some of the other scenarios that they covered? Can you name any of them? Like in this, you know, the subsequent commercials in the campaign?
You know what? I did mean to go through and find some other, you know, some others that maybe I probably remembered, like maybe a little bit better. Like I would be reminded because I don't really remember this particular ad in, you know, a whole lot. I just remember the actual campaign and really the tagline, right? Which is not a bad thing in any way if you are Mastercard, but coming up with one right now, I don't know. And is that maybe the point? Like, is that maybe a good, you know, like really a good thing? Because what we remember is the Priceless, you know, and, you know, the name Mastercard.
I was just curious because like this is like going to a baseball game, whether it's your first baseball game or a baseball game with your father, it's like one of those like archetypal kind of like experiences, right? I remember going to hockey games with my dad. You know, do I remember the first one? Maybe, sort of, but does it matter that I remember the first one? It's just like it's like a symbol. All of them are a symbol just for like the thing of doing that with your dad and like having that kind of like, you know, so I feel like the fact that they chose that, that's like just, that's a good idea. Like, let's show a dad taking his son to a baseball game, right? Like that's the kind of like good old stick with you forever kind of stuff, you know? So like, I bet like, was there one with like Christmas involved? Probably, because like who doesn't do a solid, you know, holiday spot, right? Like, you know, again, I didn't look up. I should have probably to see what some of these others were, but like, so I was just curious more like the subject matter, the scenarios that they dealt with, were they all kind of like these? Because I feel like Christmas, for example, like if it was like a Christmas morning thing, that'd be pretty like archetypal too, right? Like that kind of, you know, these very core experiences, at least in our culture, that you have very strong memories and feelings and associations tied with, right? That literally stay with you forever. So like in that respect, the campaign like just drills right into your heart, you know, of who you are, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I get the feeling that it was. I mean, I'm sure we could maybe do a part 2 of this at some point, and you know, maybe watch less, but like just kind of go through some of them. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea, because I think that, right, like there is more to this because of like how long this campaign ran. Like what, like at least 20 years, you know, which in advertising, especially these days, that's almost unheard of, to stick with an idea for that long. So I do think it warrants maybe a little bit more investigation and discussion.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think it was very memorable, very moving, completely appropriate, like, you know, for the brand to do this sort of thing. Yeah, very well executed. So, and it's a great ad.
Would you say you like this ad?
Yeah, I'd say I like this ad.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Erik likes it. It's lovely.
Those of you that were, no one really cares if I like the ad or not, Matt. Let's be honest here. Hey, no, it's okay. Erik likes it. No, it's fine. No, everybody settle down. He actually likes it. It's cool. Said no one ever.
The guys discuss Erik's ankles. Damn it. I screwed it up.